Hello and welcome to Listen, Speak and Learn Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Richardson, founder and creator of Listen, Speak and Learn, which is part of the cultural group CIC. Join me as I scour the United Kingdom, inquiring and asking the public about language, cultural identity, cultural awareness, and its place in today's modern diaspora communities.
So I am Pamela Sakyi. I'm a writer, producer, director. I've recently produced and written a documentary called British Ghanaians Lost in Translation. I've been working in television for some time now, and just in the media industry in general. I've been working in that industry for, over 10 years now, but my heart is in documentary. What led me into a life of TV and film? The journey in was a lot to do with my heartfelt passions for telling stories. Visually, I grew up watching a lot, copious amounts of television as a child. As a teenager, just started shooting home movies and making little films around the house and with friends, and then took on media studies. Took it to A-levels, took it to university, and my passion just snowballed, and I just really, just had a strong desire to tell stories. I originally had wanted to get into, different aspects of the media, so TV presenting, journalism, broadcast, all sorts of different areas. I just really wanted to try every single field. But at university, I used to be on a team where we'd make short documentaries for the module course, and what happened is I just found my calling when I got in the edit suite. I saw Avid and that was it. Fell in love and was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be behind the scenes, telling the stories and cutting away. And so that's what kind of led me to where I am today. So yeah, it was great working with Otis. He's on a journey as well of learning Ghanaian languages, and so it was just lots and lots of fun. There were hurdles. There were times when I tried to connect with people and they didn't get the story. They perhaps felt a little embarrassed in a way that they couldn't speak the language and they couldn't and they felt that meant they couldn't contribute. But with a documentary, I want to get the full story. I don't want just to get the success stories. Oh, everyone can speak it. The whole point of this was that you can't speak it. Great, let's do something about it. Let's document it. Let's encourage others to do it. And why can't you speak it? What's the greater implications of that on our cultural identity, our heritage, the future generations living in Britain, and with the main focus on London as well. And so yeah, there was all sorts of different challenges and things that came across, but all in all, it was a very rewarding journey. The feedback on the documentary has been great. Just almost overwhelming. Like I said, it started off as an idea that was going to just be a small 5-minute documentary, and snowballed into an hour, and just it's going to be parts to come. But a lot of people just really resonated with the stories, and what was really intriguing was that it wasn't just Ghanaians that really had great feedback for the documentary. I had messages, especially social media, from Sri Lankans, Portuguese, French, Dutch, all sorts of different second generation cultures, contacting me and saying, this is great, this speaks to my generation, it speaks to me, I've got similar stories, of not being able to relate with my elders back home, and it was heartwarming to hear those stories and just to see that people get it. And so, we had great feedback from people in general and public, and Ghanaians across the world, Ghanaians in Australia, Ghanaians in Holland, Germany, America. They're all saying, oh, when can we watch this? Where can we see it? And that was phenomenal, because for me it was just, okay, let's just reach the people in the UK. But to have people, even Ghanaians back home, really just tuning in and being excited about the documentary, that was great, and getting great feedback from them was really, really fantastic. What I hope the documentary will achieve is strongly linked to the heart and soul of the whole project. What that means is that I hope that predominantly and first and foremost British Ghanaians, second and third generations, will watch it and be inspired and say, do you know what, especially those that can't speak the language, I want to learn the language. I hope it triggers something in them that, that moves them and makes them realize that, okay, maybe your parents didn't speak it to you, maybe for whatever reason, when you were younger, you were embarrassed to know your language. Maybe, for whatever reason that you can't speak the language fluently, now's the time to get to learn your language. And that's what I want this documentary to do. I want it to inspire those that can't speak it fluently to go out and learn it, connect with the Ghanaian language school, connect with listen, speak and learn, just connect with any resources or organizations that provide these resources that enable you to learn, and go home, go to Ghana, find out more about your culture, your cultural heritage, just throw yourself in the deep end and connect with your family back home. It's very important in terms of keeping alive that cultural heritage and identity, and passing on the legacies, and passing on the stories and the wealth of stories and knowledge down the generations to come. I also, one of my other hopes for the documentary is, in terms of what it will achieve, is that it will touch the elder generation who didn't speak the language to their children for whatever reasons they had, that are explored in the documentary. Maybe they came over and they just wanted to let their children have the best education, and they thought that way was by letting them speak English in the house, or whatever it was. It's almost like, it's okay, we understand that you did it for whatever reason, but now don't carry it on. Maybe the grandchildren now, it's time to get a hold of them, and while they're young, teach them the language. So I hope it will inspire older generations to say, okay, fair enough, we got it wrong, we made mistakes, but we're going to move forward as a people, and we're going to help with this movement. I'm very excited to announce that the next public screening of British Ghanaians Lost in Translation is on Saturday the 12th of December, 7 p.m. at the Bernie Grant Art Centre in Tottenham. This has been fantastic. They approached us and said, you know what, we are interested in this documentary and we'd like to showcase it. And so that screening is going to be held on that date, and really looking forward to it. And also it's going to be an opportunity for people to meet some of the people that are actually in the documentary, because it's going to be followed by a Q&A with a guest panel, including myself. I'll be on the panel as well. So the audience will get to ask questions and just discuss the topics and themes that are, tackled in the documentary. And yeah, just really looking forward to it. Otis will be there, Denta will be there, Naomi Fletcher from the Ghanaian Language School will be there, and it will be hosted by Bang Radio's Claire Cotte. So yeah, really looking forward to that. My personal language journey has been a very interesting one. My earliest memories of trying to learn the language were me at age 3 or 4 making up high life songs. There was always high life songs playing in my house, especially when there were Ghanaian parties and aunts and uncles all around. And I just remember just being so intrigued by this music. In the daytime we'd be watching, pop music channels or something. And then, in the evening there would be high life playing. And I just became intrigued with the sounds and the consonants and everything about it. And I loved it. It just sounded so rhythmic that I'd make songs myself imitating the language, even though I couldn't speak it fluently. And so I've always been intrigued by Tree, which is the language of my parents. But for their reasons, for whatever their reasons were, they didn't speak it to me. So I kind of grew up, when you go to primary school, as people have expressed in the documentary, it wasn't really that cool being African. It was in some respects people used to laugh at it, or it was something to be frowned upon in a way. And although internally I was proud to be African and Ghanaian, but it wasn't always, seen as that by my peers and as a school kid. So learning the language wasn't always at the top of my list during primary school, at least. At secondary school, the journey was, getting to know more Ghanaians who could speak it here and there, and I began to get more intrigued by it and wanted to learn. I went back to high life songs that my mum used to play when I was a kid and began trying to learn the language. We took a trip to Ghana when I was about 15, and we brought back some books, some basic books, learning basic vocab about bread or come, go, and here and there and whatever. But never really stuck with me. I fell in love with the French language, and from my late teens, and took it to A level and just excelled in that, and so became more fluent in French than Tree. And then as I got older, in my 20s, I really just felt that void, as it were, that I couldn't speak the language. It felt really like, gosh, something's missing. Something is really missing. I need to learn this language. As we visited Ghana more often, I began to see the real problem of not being able to communicate with my family, my grandparents, my cousins, and this whole number of people that which I belong to, but I can't really connect with, and that really saddened me. So. In fact, in the last few years, I've really been spending more time with my family, my mum especially, and it's actually brought us closer together, which is just fantastic. Just she's accepted that it's no longer good for her to laugh at me when I can't pronounce things right. And I'm just over that. Like before, people laughing at me at the way I sounded, and when I was speaking Tree, and maybe with a British accent, people mocking me, Ghanaians mocking me. I'm over that. I'm like, whatever. I want to learn the language, and when they see that about you, which is what I've seen recently on a recent trip to Ghana, when they see that you're hungry to learn the language, they're like, aha, okay, she's not just British, she actually does belong to us. And so my journey continues. On this recent trip, I was able to really speak with my grandma for the first time properly, with bits of Twi. Still not fluent, but the improvement is there. And yeah, and so back up, I will be learning more and more, and I'm really just continuing on the journey until I feel fluent. So you can get more information about the documentary at www.sparklelightproductions.co.uk. You can also find out more about what's going on Facebook. And that's facebook.com/British Ghanaians Lost in Translation. And we're also on Twitter, and that's @BritishGH_LIT. And yeah, so just connect with us and just share your stories and yeah, and you can find out more there.